Hello, myself Sunil Ramakrishnan. This is the 115th number part basically, and in this basically we are going to discuss about the Bollywood basically, what actually the Bollywood is, and how up to what level the Bollywood is basically uh, going to play a main role basically here. So Bollywood group says that we have created the entire software industry and on the base of our basically existence only the Bollywood existence is there basically. So they basically says that like that basically. So they might be right also because they says that on the base of our movies user stories basically on that base of user show. So basically the project management plan basically in that basically user stories are also there, tasks are also there, the sprint are also there. So this basically all basically says that it's created by Bollywood group only basically. The words basically, each and every words, each and every the process basically you can say. So each and everything basically are created by the Bollywood group basically. So SAP company has created on the base of set of Bollywood group. So just see basically the Microsoft company is uh, telling that Microsoft company is created on the base of set of Bollywood, on the base of set of user stories basically, and the SAP company, the PHP, the Python, C, C++. Is how much old basically you can just imagine. So basically each and everything. Then the movie industry is how much old that also you can just imagine basically. So like this, basically the movies, the Bollywood basically and Hollywood says that we on the base of existence of our basically the entire software industry is created basically. That also you can say basically it's like that. So Bollywood industry exists on the base of software industry exists on the base of Bollywood basically. So Bollywood groups basically do the in Bollywood group basically there are lots of financer basically we can say, and each and every basically people have each and every movie is basically have the financer basically. So on the base of finance basically you can say the Bollywood movies gets created basically. So we have already taken the example. For example, one movie is ongoing. So on the base of that movie energy, basically, sometime basically popcorn gets created, samosa gets creates. The sometime basically the drinks company also basically jump into this movie energy basically. Sometimes the water basically company basically jump into this movie basically. Like this basically, it's like basically you can say the customized requirement basically of so special requirement basically given by the software, given by the movies basically. According to that basically drinks gets creates from the company directly basically. So you can just imagine the power of the Bollywood basically, and this everything basically is already done basically long before basically, and it's working from long before basically you can say. So the Bollywood energy basically, which Bollywood groups are creating, that is basically running since many years basically you can say, and the popcorn, samosas, and the cold drinks and the waters basically special basically for Bollywood group basically for especially for that movie basically the groups are creating. So you can just imagine the power of the Bollywood basically. Special cold drinks gets creates, special samosas gets creates, special popcorn gets creates. You can just imagine the power basically. Special means what? Connected with that Bollywood energy basically. Whatever movie is ongoing, according to that energy, basically the people eats popcorn, people eat samosa, and basically the Bollywood energy gets into their body basically. So we can just imagine the power of the Bollywood group industry basically. Because says they says that basically we don't need anyone. We are basically enough. So we don't require anyone basically. Um, for the best example basically is I have taken one user the story basically of one guy basically who visited 5 times in Mumbai basically, and uh, but he basically came back to his native place basically where from basically he is. So like this basically without job basically they came, that person came basically. So we can just imagine the power of the Bollywood. They says that they don't need anyone. We alone is enough basically. We basically Bollywood itself is basically enough basically. We don't require anyone basically. can say. So just you can just imagine basically, because software industry basically is created on the base of user stories basically of the movies, movie stories basically. Then basically why Bollywood industry required software industry basically. That is also basically correct basically, because the software industry is depend on the movies basically, you can say. If the movies user stories gets changed, then by default basically the software industry gets changed. And it's basically like that only basically. It's by default basically the story writers are there, set of serials writers are there. And nowadays basically entire movies and entire serials are basically getting controlled by the theaters basically. Yes. So just basically you can imagine, because when the movies gets converted, that time basically you can't modify the things basically. You can't, once the TV once the to modify that basically it takes lots of expense basically. So basically, to reduce that expense, basically the Bollywood industry has told that we will be creating first theater basically. Then basically on the base of theater, basically how basically it's going to look in the television. So for that, basically we will be creating serials basically, and then basically on the base of serials, basically the few things gets more clear in the theater in the serials basically. Then basically after that, basically we are going to convert to the movies basically. So then like this basically filter goes on basically. Like this the error gets keeps on basically changing basically. So sorry, the error, if error basically exists in the theater in the serial, then basically it gets solved basically. Like this basically when the movie gets creates, then basically it's at least basically 90 98 95 to 96% are correct basically. So like this basically, to create the perfect movie basically up to the level basically the things of the hard work basically is ongoing basically. So you can just imagine the power of the Bollywood also, you can say. And uh, the perfect plan also basically how they do basically. So perfect plan means this is the perfect plan, na? So basically whatever the movies are ongoing, so that is basically first the theaters groups are basically creating the movies, the entire movies parts basically. And then basically the entire basically if you see the movie basically, the few basically parts are the main basically, right? That main part basically are done in the theater part basically, which basically on the base of that part only, on the base of that scene basically entire movie basically um, is going to be get hit basically. So that basically important part basically, you can say. And some basically group says that basically we want to create entire movie basically first into theater, then only basically we are going to. So for that basically the writer basically writes according to that, right? Basically the first episode of the theater, second episode of the theater. Like this, basically, the writers basically writes the each and every episodes, and reason basically each and every episodes has to be connected to the series also. Then basically, so according to that, basically he writes. Basically, he don't do the rework basically. So whatever things he has done in the theater serial basically, that only basically by default he is going to use in the movies basically, movies creation basically, we can say. So like this basically you can just imagine the power of the Bollywood, and the power of the Bollywood group basically, up to what level basically this group basically has done the stuff basically. And basically the major stuff basically that we have already discussed, like from Bollywood energy basically lots of human needs are created, like iron are created. Then uh, for example, there is one romantic movie basically. So from that romantic movies, energy basically, lots of ions are created, steels are created, coppers are created, water are created, foods are created. Then uh, diamond are created. Sometimes golds are also created today. Basically, you can just imagine the power of the Bollywood energy. This basically is from long time. Basically, it's ongoing. Basically, you can say. So this is called basically Bollywood energy. Basically, so for example, one person told that andheri basically that this 30-40 buildings are created on the base of this movie energy basically. Then basically he shocked. Okay, so what he's telling. Then basically given the detail basically how basically the Bollywood group has created their entire industry, entire areas basically, you can say. So that basically whenever these areas, then whenever the area energy is going to be used, That time basically only Bollywood energy is going to be everywhere basically. So the spreading of the Bollywood energy basically you can say everywhere basically. And each and every area basically they do the maintenance also basically, that also you can say. They handle the season group basically, they pass the season groups a data, that basically which data has to be modified. So like this basically it's the vast basically. So they pass the season group basically, this data has to be modified in this movie. Like this basically the energy basically which this movie has generated, that basically have some little bit changes in that movie basically. So in that basically 20-30 buildings basically they change the entire buildings energy basically through with the help of the season group basically. Season air basically everybody knows how it's getting control, that is basically through with the help of the power companies, energy companies, and the nuclear companies. So you can just imagine the power of the Bollywood basically, up to what level the groups has reached, and up to what level the groups are going to be. If the big group basically says that they have created the software industry basically on the base of their set of movies basically, so you can just imagine the power basically. If the software industries are basically the top 20 in top 20 richest people basically, the software industries are basically 4 to 5 people basically. So we can just, if 4 to 5 people are from the software industry, and software industry is created by the Bollywood group, so you can just imagine the Bollywood power basically. That also you can say, and who might be Bollywood group basically. That also you can just imagine basically, if in top 20 the software industry top 5 for in top 20 basically 4 to 5 people are basically 4 to 6 people, 4 to 7 people, 7 to 8 people are basically of software industry. And software industries are created on the base of Bollywood movies and the Bollywood stories, user stories. So you can just imagine the Bollywood power also, you can say. It's a Bollywood power basically, you can say. Here basically Bollywood industry says that we have created our own industry. We have created our own. If we anybody says that if anybody gives the requirement to us basically, can you create the Bollywood city? In there basically around 1 lakh building has to create it. You have the data basically, that basically they says yeah we have the entire data basically, where basically we can create the entire Bollywood industry basically, Bollywood city basically we can say. So here basically we are discussing about the Bollywood city. So this is basically 115 part. In 116 part basically we are going to discuss about the Bollywood city.